What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm also going to talk about why tomorrow is going to be a very important day, as we have Jerome Powell giving a speech on big data coming out, not to mention a very big test on Tesla stock. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total, not to mention an 8.1% APY on uninvested cash. Moomoo has extended this offer, so I'm going to continue to promote this for the rest of the month. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with the markets. So the market has a very, very interesting trend that's going on right now. We're seeing SPY and the QQQ opening up in a very, very choppy phase. We do tend to see some dips in the mornings, but then ultimately by the end of the day, the market gets bought back up. I called out a bit of a dip that could be coming to the markets, at least to start things off as we approached our data. And then after that, I was expecting the market to rebound. And, that's what happened, at least later on in our video. So with that being said, the question now remains what's happening to Tesla and the broader markets for now. Tesla had some bad news that came out involving Elon Musk's pay package. That is what caused Tesla to dip a bit for today, but it's very resilient. Tesla's still holding the $350 area. So at this point, we want to be paying attention to some news and then some very, very key facts for tomorrow. So what's happening with the news right now? All over the news, we're seeing mainstream sources screaming that Elon Musk's pay package has been blocked again. So this is not the best of news in my opinion. And I think that this is just absolutely horrendous because, this isn't right whatsoever. What happened was back in 2018, Elon Musk was promised his pay package for once again all of his hard work and then hitting milestones such as raising Tesla's market value and helping a lot of people get rich, essentially, right? That was very, very impressive what Musk has achieved, and he did his part of the bargain. And then what happened was back in January of 2024, a Delaware judge had blocked the package, saying that the process for proving it was very, very flawed. Musk said that that was not right. So then they turned to the shareholders. The shareholders voted in June to restore the pay package, and that should have been then and done. But then just yesterday, we had some news that McCormick, who is the judge, has come out and she has once again upheld her initial ruling to block the package in a 103-page ruling. And she said that once again, that she thinks the same thing as before, that shareholders cannot ratify a conflicted controller transaction. And she went over a bunch of different things. So could this be because of politics and all these different factors? Sure, you guys could say whatever you want, but there's a very good chance that Tesla could appeal to Delaware's Supreme Court about this, and things could get very, very intense right now, at least when it comes to the legal system. Now, Tesla has many options. They could try to reinstate a different pay package, but that's going to be very strenuous. And it seems like it doesn't make a lot of sense because you have to consider that shareholders already approved this. So Tesla's best move might be, and I'm not saying this as giving legal advice or anything when I say this, but Tesla could appeal this and try to go to the superior courts. There's a very good chance they're going to do that. And it's not the best of news for Tesla because it just hurts Elon Musk. He knows that the shareholders have his back and they're the ones who want to get him, his money. But it's just the courts, these judges who are getting in the way. I personally think that it's not fair to Musk because he was promised this money. He held his end of the bargain. He helped Tesla absolutely explode in market cap, and he's leading the company very, very well. So he deserves his pay. I think that it's very, very wrong for him to have been promised this money, to be promised these pay packages and just not even get them. So it's just absolutely, terrible to see this happening. And it's going to lead to a very, very strenuous amount of legal action. So that's the reason why we saw Tesla dip a bit. Not the best of news for them. However, we did get some good news that came out. Tesla was upgraded to a buy rating by Roth MKM because they're seeing a big demand boost from what's happening with politics and other factors like that. So we had different analysts come out. I think Craig came out from Roth MKM, and he gave Tesla a buy rating, increasing his price target from $85 to $380 for Tesla. He thinks Tesla goes to $380 a share. He thinks there's going to be a big increase in their demand, and he's very bullish on their AI and robotics developments. He did talk about that on mainstream media, and I think that's a very, very great piece of news. He did mention that there are some downsides, such as the fact that there's going to be a shift to tax policies, but he thinks that there's very few negatives for Tesla, and there's an abundant amount of positives. That's a good piece of news for Tesla that came out. And then there is some news coming out involving the Cybertruck. I think the first source that claimed this was Business Insider, that Tesla employees working on the Cybertruck received an email that they don't have to really come to work on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of this week. Tesla has not responded, given a reason, or confirmed this. So I want to make that very clear. We tend to hear one big mainstream source talk about this, then all the sources copy and follow the trend. But just know that Tesla has not confirmed this or given us any information about what's going on. But what could be happening, and this is just a possibility, is the Cybertruck could be going over some like manufacturing improvements, some updates, and things just like that at the plants in Texas. So that's what could be going on. That this is very normal for companies like GM and Ford. So that is what could be happening, but we don't know for sure. We'll see what Tesla has to say about this and if that truly is what's going to be the case. But besides that, Stifel also gave Tesla a buy rating, so did Roth MKM. So this just came out over the last couple of days. And we saw some analysts come out today and say some bullish things about Tesla, which is what helped the share price hold up, despite the bad news that came out involving Elon Musk. The price-price ratio is going up as Tesla's still holding up its strength. Wednesdays are historically green about 48% of the time, at least historically for Tesla. And we tend to see more green at 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Besides that, I think I went over the majority of the news headlines. Just know this volume is still very flat at about 57 million. That's why Tesla's just shopping around, not really doing a whole lot. And with that being said, just know that the share price is very choppy. It's trying to hold the 350 supports, but whether or not we get a bounce or a big rug pull is going to depend on something else. And this is going to be affecting the whole markets. That's why we have to look at some data. Tomorrow is going to be Wednesday, December 4th, 2024. At 9:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the S&P Global Composite PMI report. Then at 10 a.m., we have the ISM Services Business Activity, new orders, and lots of data just like that. So once again, 15 minutes after the stock market opens tomorrow, there's going to be some volatility because of the composites and services PMI. And then at 10 o'clock a.m. or 30 minutes after market open, look for some more data because of services. Look for more volatility because of services data. Excuse me, guys. We are going to be expecting more volatility because of new orders and prices. So look for those very carefully. It's very forward-looking data, but those are the two times to look for volatility because of data. And then after that, there's nothing else coming out until 1:45 p.m. when we have the big guy, Jerome Powell, giving a speech. Now, Jerome Powell is very tricky. Whatever he says will cause some high volatility, so get ready for that. We'll have to see what he ends up saying. And that's something I can't truly predict because he could be all over the place. Now, the last time Jerome Powell spoke, he caused the market to get a rug pull because he said the Fed is not in a rush to cut rates. The market did not like that, and that's what caused the market to dip. Now, it's also very possible that he shifts his stance because the last couple of Fed speakers who have come out have been more in favor of the Fed giving us some kind of cut, right? The last couple of Fed speakers like Gerber and the list goes on, they may be kind of foretelling what Jerome Powell may say. So we'll see about that. If Powell is more dovish and he says that the Fed will most likely give us a 25 basis point cut, this bar could go up and this could go down. That could be bullish for the markets. If Jerome Powell does not say that, if he doesn't say anything like that, he's very ambiguous, the market may have a very nuanced reaction. So just keep that in mind. Right now, the market thinks there's a 71% chance we get a 25 basis point cut on the December 18th meeting, and about 28% chance we get a pause, essentially. Right now, we're favoring we get a small cut, so hopefully we get that as time goes on. For the fear and greed index, right now, greed is making up the majority of sentiment. There's a lot of greed in this market. Momentum is also very, very greedy as it's growing. Then we have the put to call option ratio at extreme greed as this is continuing to go up. Now, this is going up a little bit because there's a little bit of hedging that's going on. We're starting to see a little bit more put buying than before. That could be because the market's breaking all-time highs and also because we're approaching some big data tomorrow. And it could also be because of hedging, so it doesn't guarantee anything. The market is still extremely greedy despite the fact that there are a little bit more shorts that are piling in. And then the VIX is also bearish, just no sign of a bounce. There is a divergence forming, but we'll have to see about that as time goes on. A couple more things, just two more things, and I'll talk about the charts. For tomorrow, we have Chewy, Foot Locker, Dollar Tree, and a couple more retail announcing earnings. For Thursday, we have Dollar General, TD Bank, and a few more. And then for today, we just had Salesforce announce their earnings and pretty much nothing else that was too significant. Salesforce did well, despite the fact that they missed on their EPS at $2.41 per share. They beat on revenue with $9.44 billion, and their overall guidance was the same as before. And then they talked about AI, which helped the share price push. All right, guys, enough about the data. I know it was a lot I went over, but that's pretty much it. Now let's just focus on what's going on with the charts. So as far as Tesla is going, okay, Tesla is doing a good job at holding up. It's consolidating right over here. We have 350 as our main support right here. If we fail to hold that, we're looking for the support near our 20 EMA at 347. If that fails us, we come all the way down to fill the gap at 345. So watch those two supports. The main resistance right now is right over here around the 354 area. If Tesla breaks that, we push even higher. Now, one very interesting thing about Tesla is that we like to push in the mornings. When you look at the 30 minutes time frame, notice that despite some consolidation that tends to form, we do like to get little pops in the mornings. So, for example, if you look at, we could even go back to like the last couple of days. Last Tuesday, we pumped, then we started to dip. On Wednesday of last week, we pushed a little bit upon the open, then we dipped. On Friday, so on Friday, for example, because the market was closed on Thursday. That's why I'm skipping Thursday because of Thanksgiving. For Friday, we pumped upon open and we just continued to pump. Friday had a nice trend. And then for Monday, we saw the same thing. We pumped upon open, then just consolidated throughout the day. Today, we saw Tesla pump upon open, then it consolidated and started to dip a little bit as the day went on. So you guys can see the trend. We love to kind of push upon these opens. So we should be expecting a small push in Tesla for around 354 or so after open. And then after that, we might consolidate. There's a very good chance we consolidate a bit for Tesla because volume is very low. There is some data coming out at 9:45 and 10 a.m., so we'll see what that leads to for Tesla. But then the main thing is going to be Jerome Powell's speech at 1:45 p.m. If Jerome Powell gives the market a big rug pull, Tesla could be dumping to fill the gap for 345. If Jerome Powell launches this thing up, we're going back up to 360. I think Tesla pushes for 354 in the morning, then it comes back down and consolidates, and then we're going to be looking for a big reaction after the data comes out and Jerome Powell's speech. So look for a push upon open, then some consolidation, and we'll see what happens after that. For SPY, we do have a slight bearish divergence developing, but there's no sign of a rejection, and we're holding up very well. One thing that's worth mentioning is that on SPY, every time we dip for the last couple of days, we just keep getting bought back up. So if you look at the trend, we're still holding above our key EMAs, and the trend is still bullish. We dipped and bounced, dipped and bounced, dipped and bounced over and over and over again. So I think there's a good chance we continue to do that. Now, we do like to dip upon opens. So for example, on Wednesday, we dipped and then bounced. Thursday, we saw consolidation. I'm sorry, there was no trading on Thursday. That was Friday, we consolidated. Friday, we dipped a bit, then consolidated. Today, we saw a dip and then we consolidated. So there might be a small dip tomorrow. It's about 603, then a bounce back up and some more consolidation in the morning. So look for some sideways choppy price action in the morning, a dip and a bounce. And then when the data comes out, it could launch us to new all-time highs. If that's the case, we're looking for 605 and above. If that's not the case and we end up losing our support near 602.5, we're looking for a dip back down to 601. So I presume we dip a bit to about 603, then we bounce and consolidate, then we look for a big reaction. If Jerome Powell launches this thing up, we're going to new all-time highs. If not, if he gives us the rug pull, we could be dipping back down to 600. So we'll see about that, but anticipate a little bit of a dip and then a bounce upon open. I think ES is going to do the same thing. It was very choppy today, then it just got bought back up, breaking all-time highs. So look for a dip to about 6,050, or very close to that range, a bounce back up with some consolidation. But overall, the trend is bullish as we're just continuing to bounce and bounce and bounce and bounce. Might be a small dip upon open and a push higher is the most likely possibility, at least technically speaking. But then it depends on what Jerome Powell says, so we'll just have to wait for that. Now, I'm going to talk about Nvidia and Apple, then the QQQ, because it's very prevalent. So Nvidia looks bullish right now. We have a nice inverse head and shoulders like structure. We have a left shoulder here, a head and then a right shoulder. If we hold above this 50 EMA at this 140 area, as long as you hold above that for 4 hours or on the 4-hour basis, I think we easily go up to 142.5 or above. If we don't hold 140 though, there's a risk of 138, so we'll have to see if that holds. But right now, this looks more bullish, and Nvidia technically favors upside a little bit more. Yes, the data and Jerome Powell will affect this, but as of right now, it does look a little bit more in favor of bulls, and it does favor upside. Apple, same thing, right? And this is bullish for the QQQ. So Apple is making a nice uptrend, making higher highs and higher lows. If we lose 242, we could be dipping down to 240. As of right now, we're holding up very, very nicely, and I think we could continue to push for 244 as long as we're above 242.5. So overall, the trend is still in favor of the bulls. So the bulls have a much larger edge, at least for the time being, and this could help the market to a larger extent. Now, I also want to mention that to watch your key levels and just know that we're doing a good job at holding up. But there's no sign of weakness right here, right? We're just continuing to get bought up over and over and over again. There's a good chance that Apple continues this trend. This is bullish for the triple Q because the QQQ is breaking out right here, trying to break all-time highs. I mentioned yesterday that because 516 is historically a tough resistance, look for a small dip and then see what kind of reaction we get. Notice that we did get this dip to 513 today, then we just got bought back up, which signifies the buyers are still there and the trend is bullish. So as long as we don't lose 516, we are favoring 520 on the QQQ, especially because Apple and Nvda are looking very, very promising in my personal opinion. So keep that in mind, guys. For other factors out there, if we were to lose hypothetically 516, we're looking for essentially 515, and then 513 is our targets. As long as we're above 516, we're looking for 520. I think we could dip a bit and start pushing for 520, and overall we look more bullish. For NQ, we look more bullish as long as we don't lose 21,250. We're favoring a push all the way back up for these new all-time highs on NQ. So it's going to be a tough resistance at 21,340. If we break that, we're looking for 21,400 as our target. As of right now, it might dip upon open, then start pushing higher. Looks bullish, but we'll see what happens with Jerome Powell's speech. Bitcoin's looking a little bit more bullish here as we have a nice accumulation and we're getting bought up very nicely. If we could break past 96,000, we're looking for a target of 97,000. If we reject here, we're looking for 95,000 or below. Overall, the trend is favoring upside, so we'll just have to see what happens from here. I think we're doing a good job. So Bitcoin has some more upside potential, and I think that there is a good chance that this continues to pump. That could lead to more upside as well. For other factors out there, we happen to have, let me just double check this, Netflix. Netflix is also looking more bullish. I did call out more upside yesterday, but the issue I had was this chop zone up here. Notice that it loves to chop between 907.5-ish and about 903. It chops a lot once we hit that resistance. So I do expect it to push those highs, but then I think it's going to chop around a little bit. And we'll see if we break to new all-time highs or not from there. That depends on the data and what's said by Jerome Powell. But nonetheless, the chart is bullish. We're still holding above our 50 EMA very nicely. We love to ride above the 50. Notice how it's just bouncing and bouncing and bouncing off supports and just continuing to push. So I do expect a little bit of chop here, but then it could break out for 920 after that as it looks more bullish. For other factors out there, we have MSTR. This is looking a little bit weaker, kind of consolidating with Bitcoin. We haven't been able to break past 386 to hit 400, so I expect some consolidation, maybe a dip to about 368 if that fails us. CELH or Celsius, guys. This looks more bullish. We're looking for a push for about just under 30, but then I think it's going to consolidate in a range between 27.5 and 30 for some time. But overall, it's doing a good job at holding up. Supermicro might be dipping a little bit lower. We're looking for a test of 37.18, if not 35. If that fails us, look for a small dip for 37. And then we'll see if we bounce or not off that, but look for a little bit of a dip right over there. For Palantir, we look more bullish as long as we don't lose 70. If 70 fails us, we look for 68 just hypothetically, but we had a bullish wedge in a breakout so far. It looks very bullish to me. So as long as we're above 70, I'm looking for 72.5 as our potential target. And eventually we could be pushing closer to 75. The share price looks very, very bullish. For Rivian, we're going to consolidate a bit as long as we're above 11.78. We do favor 12 plus. So it's doing a good job at holding up. SoFi is also consolidating right here. We're looking for essentially 16 as our target. If that breaks, we could be pushing higher for 16.25. If we end up losing 15.5, we're looking for a dip back down for 15.25. So I think we look more bullish. For the IWM Russell 2000, we're on a bit of a downtrend right over here. If we break past 240, we're looking for a push. I did expect this to dip if we lost 240 to about 238. So the levels did play out very nicely. We did come down to about 238 before we got a bounce. So it is a little bit weaker compared to the markets. We have to reclaim 240 to turn back up. Otherwise, we're now range bound between 240 and 238. It's range bound, but this is going to depend a lot on what Jerome Powell says. So we're not necessarily fixated over here. Let's just wait and see how it goes. AMD looks more bullish as long as we don't lose 140. We're looking for a move back up to 144 plus. So it does look like it could bounce a little bit more. ARM looks more bullish as long as we don't lose 140. If 140 fails us, we're looking for 137.7. As long as we hold 140, we're looking for a push back up for 143. For coin, we look more bullish. As long as we don't end up losing 300, we're favoring a push even higher back up for this 315 area. So I do see some more upside here. Amazon looks more bullish as long as we do not lose 212.5 and 210. This is favoring a push back up for this 215 area. For Meta, we look more bullish. As long as we don't lose 610, we're favoring a push for 615. And if that breaks, we're looking for 620. It's going to be a tough resistance at 615, so it could dip a little bit here for like 610, but overall, it could continue to break out as it looks very bullish. Might see a retest of 610 and a bounce on Meta, by the way. Microsoft looks more bullish. As long as we don't lose 430, we're favoring 432.5 than 435. Google looks a little bit more bullish. If we could hold above 172.6 tomorrow, we are favoring 174 again, so it does look a little bit more in favor of bulls. So we'll see if support holds. This, of course, depends on the data and what Jerome Powell says. Not Bitcoin, GME, looking a little bit weaker here, did reject. It might attempt to retest 27.9 before it comes back down. Might see a little pop on it. AMC looks a little bit more bearish, needs to reclaim 4.9, otherwise it's favoring downside. Big red bar typically favors like a pop and a drop lower, back down to 4.75. DJT is more bullish. As long as we don't lose 32.5, we're favoring 35 plus. I think it could be on its way up to 35. And then the VIX has a bullish divergence that's developing, but there's no sign of a bounce yet. So this is going to depend on the data for tomorrow and Jerome Powell's speech. The 10-year is waiting for Jerome Powell's speech as well. So is the dollar. So there's not really much to say. They're all just very choppy. We're waiting to see what happens. With that being said, guys, for tomorrow, look for a little pop-up on open for Tesla and some consolidation. Whether or not we get a big breakouts to break and form this like cup and handle. If this truly does get a breakout, it's going to depend a lot on what Jerome Powell says. It's going to depend on some data. So just keep that in mind. Let's be very patient. Let's look for a pop-up on open and some consolidation tomorrow, and then we'll see what the data leads to. Don't forget the data comes out at 9:45 a.m. and 10 a.m. At those two times, there's going to be data releases. And then the main time is going to be at 1:45 p.m. for Jerome Powell's speech. Anyways, I thank you all so much for listening. Please have a good day, night, or evening, wherever you guys are around the world. I'll see you guys very soon tomorrow before market open. Thank you for listening, and peace out.